gonna be great, Charlie.
I love drinking lean. I love lean, Charlie. I love lean.
Disclaimer, I do own Call of Duty World at War. My Xbox does not want to read the disc, or the disc does not want to be read. Whichever internal issue is occurring, I don't know. I own it on PC as well. I don't know if my PC can handle recording and playing the game at the same time. And I don't really feel like experimenting to find out. I hope you can bear with me with the Black Ops 1 remastered version of the map I'm going to be speaking about today. From a small bunker to an insane asylum, the zombies mode was slowly transforming. But with its third map, Treyarch unleashed something entirely new. Something stranger, more atmospheric, and far more ambitious. This was no longer just about surviving the night. It was about uncovering a world of secrets. This is NO NUMA, the Swamp of Death. NO NUMA released with World at War's second map pack on June 11th, 2009. By this point, zombies was no longer a hidden experiment. It had become one of Call of Duty's most talked about features. Noctur and Toten introduced the concept, Varuk added perks and power, and now, with NO NUMA, Treyarch aimed to expand the formula dramatically. This was the first zombies map that truly stepped away from claustrophobic corridors and bunkers. Instead of tight, oppressive spaces, NO NUMA dropped players into a swampy, sprawling environment, dense, atmospheric, and dangerous in entirely new ways. It was a leap forward in scale and ambition, and it laid the groundwork for what zombies would eventually become. NO NUMA, which translates to Swamp of Death in Japanese, takes place at a secret Imperial Army research facility deep in the Japanese marshlands during World War II. Right away, the tone was different. This wasn't a ruined European battlefield or a German asylum. It was exotic, eerie, and almost otherworldly. The map's design leaned heavily into atmosphere. The central hut served as your starting area, but surrounding it were 4 different huts connected by swampy paths. Each hut was themed around one of the 4 core perks: doctor's quarters, storage, fishing hut, and calm room. The foggy marshes, the buzzing of insects, the groaning wooden bridges, all of it combined to create a sense of unease and isolation. Zombies didn't just rise or come from windows and doors anymore. They clawed their way out of the muddy ground itself, adding a new layer of tension to every corner of the swamp. NO NUMA is often remembered and regarded as the first true modern zombies map because of how much it introduced to the formula. For the first time, players weren't just nameless soldiers. NO NUMA introduced the 4 iconic characters: Tank Dempsey, Nikolai Belinsky, Takeo Masaki, and most importantly, Edward Richtofen. Each came with their own personality, one-liners, and comedic quirks. These weren't just random survivors. They were the beginning of the zombie storyline. Players suddenly had characters to attach to argue with, and laugh at. They would go on to become some of the most recognizable figures in Call of Duty and gaming history. NO NUMA also introduced the first true wonder weapon, the Wunderwaffe DG2. Created by Richtofen, this experimental lightning gun could chain electricity through multiple zombies at once, wiping out hordes in seconds. Its sheer power made it a fan favorite and an essential piece of zombies history. Even today, when fans talk about classic wonder weapons, the Wunderwaffe is always near the top of any list. Another major addition was the introduction of hellhounds, fiery demonic dogs that spawned every few rounds. Suddenly, survival wasn't just about fending off zombies. Players had to adapt to new enemies that rushed at lightning speed and broke the usual flow of the game. Love them or hate them, hellhounds added unpredictability and gave players the thrill and relief of a max ammo drop at the end of each wave. Unlike Verrückt, where perks had fixed spots, NO NUMA randomized the perk spawns across its 4 huts. This meant that each game felt different. You couldn't always sprint directly to Juggernaut. Sometimes it was in the farthest hut, forcing risky decisions about how quickly to expand the map. The randomness kept gameplay fresh and forced teams to adapt every run. One of the biggest differences between NO NUMA and the earlier maps was its openness. The swamp layout was far less claustrophobic than Nacht or Verrückt. Wide open areas meant players could, for the first time, develop the strategy of training, running in circles to gather zombies into a horde before mowing them down. This became a cornerstone of zombies gameplay moving forward. But NO NUMA wasn't easy. The swamp slowed movement and punished mistakes. Players who strayed too far into the marsh risked being surrounded, especially with the slower movement speed compared to solid ground. And while the openness gave breathing room, it also meant zombies attacked from all directions, forcing constant awareness. The split design of the huts also changed pacing. Each hut opened up more of the map, but spreading out too quickly could leave teams stranded or underprepared. NO NUMA encouraged balance, expansion for perks, but caution to avoid spreading your defense too thin. Verrückt leaned into psychological horror, and God did it master it. But NO NUMA leaned into environmental horror. The swamp was suffocating. Fog hung over everything. The buzzing of flies, the croaking of frogs filled the silence between rounds. Zombies clawing their way out of mud was disturbing in ways that breaking windows never was. The asylum was terrifying because of what it represented. The swamp was terrifying because of how it felt. Oppressive, humid, and alive. And the sound design deserves credit. The creak of wooden boards as you ran across bridges, the splash of footsteps in the swamp, the haunting cries of hellhounds in the distance. It all created one of the most immersive settings zombies had ever seen. Even today, NO NUMA stands out as one of the moodiest, most atmospheric maps in the franchise. NO NUMA struck an interesting balance in difficulty. On one hand, the introduction of perks and the more open layout gave players better chances at survival. training strategies became viable, and wonder weapons like the DG2 could carry squads deep into higher rounds. On the other hand, the randomness of perk spawns and the unpredictability of hellhounds made it chaotic. The swamp itself was also a danger. Players who weren't careful with positioning could quickly get bogged down in mud and overrun. And since Pack-a-Punch hadn't been introduced yet, your weapons only carried you so far. Past a certain round, it was down to skill, coordination, and a little bit of luck. Perhaps the most important contribution of NO NUMA was narrative. Up to this point, zombies was just survival. There were hints of something bigger in Verrucht, strange writings on the walls, environmental storytelling, but no real characters or lore. That changed here. Tank Dempsey, Nikolai, Takio, and Richtofen weren't just player models. They were personalities. Their banter during matches gave players glimpses into their backgrounds and hinted at a larger story. Richtofen's dark humor, Takio's loyalty to honor, Nikolai's drunken antics, and Dempsey's tough guy attitude made matches not just gameplay sessions, but little character-driven experiences. This was the spark that would ignite the massive zombie storyline, spanning multiple games, dimensions, and timelines. And it all began here, in a swamp in the middle of nowhere. NO NUMA's influence can't be overstated. It introduced characters, wonder weapons, hellhounds, randomized perk locations, and the very idea of open map design. Without it, zombies might have stayed as a small bonus mode. Instead, it became something larger, a mode with identity, lore, and ambition. NO NUMA also holds the honor of being one of the most revisited maps in Zombies history. It was remastered in Black Ops 1, included in Black Ops 3 Zombies Chronicles, reimagined in Black Ops Cold War's Outbreak mode, and even rebuilt as a full-fledged experience in Vanguard Zombies. Side note, easily one of the worst games in the series. Its swampy atmosphere and iconic huts have been experienced by multiple generations of players, each time reminding them of where the zombie story really began to take shape. Looking back, Nocturne and Toten was the experiment. Verrucht was innovation, but NO NUMA was evolution. It was the moment zombies stopped being a side mode and started becoming a phenomenon. The swamp was more than just a new map. It was a new vision, a vision of what zombies would become. Strange, mysterious, terrifying, and endlessly replayable. It was where iconic characters were born, where the first wonder weapon electrified hordes, where hellhounds first howled in the night. For many, NO NUMA was the first time zombies felt alive, not just as a game mode, but as an experience with identity and future. And while later maps would expand on the story, add complexity, and deliver even more innovation, it was here, in the foggy swamps of NO NUMA, that Zombies truly found its soul. I hope you guys enjoyed my interpretation of NO NUMA. truly have love for this original map. It shaped what zombies would be for a good while. I'll see you guys next week in the Durice video.
Hello, this is Kitty.
Mira bien, hijo de tu puta madre. Soy Mencho, güey. Relaja tu puta gente a la verga. Soy Mencho, güey. No cuelgues, hijo de la verga. Te tengo